good soup.
Game of Thrones, Season 8, Episode 1. I can't even contain my excitement. Winterfell. Feels good to say that. The last Sunday premiere of Game of Thrones ever.
Oh, I thought we were doing Barry.
HBO's original series.
Barry.
No, we're not doing Barry.
No.
That's after Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
6 more weeks until Barry revisited.
Yeah, we got to find something to do.
That is true. I say let's not waste any time. Let's just jump right into this episode. Game of Thrones Season 8. It's almost been 2 years. You know what? Let's actually finish the revisited. You want to do that? Yeah, Season 5, Episode 9, A Dance with Dragons.
Well, how about that opening?
Yeah.
The credits scene. They gave us a little change up. They got deep into like the battles of Winterfell, the crypts, and King's Landing too. It was like, all right, I was a little shaken up by that.
Yeah, it was. They cleaned up the credits, even though I think it's the best opening credits of any television show in history.
Yeah.
I think True Detective Season 1 rivals it. But yeah, that was really cool. Seeing the crypts of Winterfell, starting off with the wall. The wall is broken down.
Mm-hmm.
And the Iron Throne, too, the way that it assembled in
Yeah.
the Red Keep. Everything about it was, it's the cleanup. It's
Mm-hmm.
the final season. That opening sequence, too, starting with this young nameless boy, running through the rocks. He's running through the river. He climbs up to get a good view of what he believes to be the King of the North and the new queen, the Targaryen queen. And it's reminiscent of Arya and Bran in that very first episode. And even the music.
Yeah, they kept the same score.
Yeah.
I noticed that right away. I'm like, oh my God, let's go.
And it's a perfect example of a callback because you have to imagine when the king travels north, everybody gathers around to see him. So just bringing back that music, it was such a regal moment in that first episode when Robert Baratheon and his camp rode into Winterfell. To now see Jon and Daenerys on the horses,
Yeah,
it's a change of the guard.
Yeah, and also too, it's was interesting was the way they looked at Missandei and Grey Worm, and like how Jon mentioned to Daenerys, like, hey, the northern folk, they don't like outsiders here.
They're stubborn, like
Yeah.
the free folk, he says
Yeah.
in Season 5 to Stannis. That's something that you have to earn. I think Tyrion says that later in the episode to Daenerys. But it's also a great moment, too, when the dragons come and everybody's kind of running scared and Daenerys kind of puffs up her chest a little bit.
Yeah, she's getting cocky right now.
It's like, okay,
yeah,
you might not
that's
like me, but you have to respect me.
Yeah, it's like, all right, you don't respect outsiders. I have 2 dragons.
Yeah.
You've never seen this before. It's myth and lore in this world. They're flying over you.
Well, that's what I think Season 7 kind of missed, is that when these magical creatures appear, these people should be in awe. They should be scared. They should be running because the show is grounded in reality. So when these events happen, they should be awestruck. It also shows Arya in the very beginning. When the boy is running around, we get that quick pan to Arya, then it goes back to the boy. But watching Arya see Jon, see Daenerys, see the Hound, and see Gendry, it's another callback to the first episode when she sees the Hound riding with the Hound helmet.
Yeah.
All the emotions in her face, the way that's why I say Maisie Williams is one of the best actresses on the show, if not the best. She's up there. The way that she can just act with facial expressions. Obviously the reunion we see later in the episode, but everything about this introduction got me right back into the world. The music, seeing all these characters, it was great.
I think the most anticipated thing from Season 8 was to see a couple of reunions, and we got it right away with Jon and Bran. And he was like, he noticed too. I mean, he embraced Bran. I was very happy. But like right away, he's like, what's wrong with you?
You got a haircut?
Yeah. There's something different about you, Bran. I don't know.
Well, Isaac Hempstead-Wright said that the character is going to be more human in this season, which means he smiles.
Yeah.
He smiled slightly towards Jon. So I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I'll give you that, big bro. We always talk about Jon and Arya, how close they were. That scene where Jon says goodbye to Bran in episode 2, that's a very emotional scene as well, where he says, when you're better, you're going to come to the wall and we'll go ranging north of the wall. So to see them embrace, it was great. Him embracing Sansa as well, because they didn't see each other at the end of last season. And the awkwardness, Sansa and Daenerys. It's something that we anticipated. And Daenerys makes the first step to form a relationship with Sansa. She says the North is very beautiful, as are you. And Sansa does one of those eye rolls where she's looking her up and down. She's sizing her up.
I like how Bran like took the place of the audience. It's like, all right, there's no time for this. Please just wrap it up.
He was like, your dragon's dead, the Night King is coming,
Yeah.
we need to move this along.
And that's one of the things, like, I was rewatching Season 7 in the anticipation for Season 8, and the Arya-Sansa conflict was so contrived and, like, so unnecessary. Every time I watch it, I'm just like, what's going on here? I don't need another version of that with Daenerys and Sansa.
Well, we're getting it.
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
We're getting it in this scene when Daenerys is introduced to the Lords of Winterfell, and Sansa is still governing. Because at this point, I think she's in a higher position of power than Jon. She is the Lady of Winterfell, and she commands Ned Umber to return to the Last Hearth to retrieve his men, retrieve his soldiers, And we see how that plays out at the end of the episode. But then it goes back to Jon Snow giving up his crown. And Lyanna Mormont is the first one to confront him, saying that, are you a lord now? I don't know. I thought she was going to call him a bastard.
Oh,
yeah.
That would have been pretty disrespectful.
Yeah, it would have.
But again, I'm like, while I was watching it, like it's a good scene and all, but I'm like, all right, there's bigger fish to fry here.
Well, they haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Does the Night King really exist?
Like all this politicking, like I know like Game of Thrones is built on the politics, but now it came to the point where that all came down to this moment. I guess it's natural to have these questions and these concerns, especially, like you said, it's so grounded in reality and they haven't seen the threat yet, so you would understand why. But I guess just as an audience member, it's like, all right, come on. Let's all band together and...
Well, that's what Tyrion tries to do.
That's life, right? I guess. It's always conflicts when there's a bigger option.
Oh, dude, I mean, turn on the news. That's everything. So you just can't put aside your differences, even when Tyrion mentions that the Lannister army is riding north. But Sansa brings up a good point, too, where Tyrion says, we've brought the largest army the world has ever seen, possibly, and we have 2 dragons. And Sansa's like, how do we feed them?
Yeah.
And that sometimes can be lost in a show like this, where the show is so grounded in reality that that's a concern.
It's like Star Wars when they introduce fuel.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
There's trackers?
Yeah, it's an interesting point, but I think that's kind of, again, it's another thing they just put in there to create more of a conflict.
At times, Daenerys can be very arrogant, but that line in particular, when you're trying to build a relationship with Sansa, and she says, what do dragons eat? And Daenerys says, whatever they like. I thought she was going to say people.
Yeah, me too.
Or bastards. But I hope this stops after this episode.
Yes.
I've had enough of it already. Like you said, it's time to move on. Don't hang on to this like they did with Arya and Sansa.
There's so much more at stake, especially when you have Sansa and Daenerys, 2 of probably the best characters in the show, and have shown to be capable leaders and very smart. It shouldn't be, like, obviously at first there should be, like, an awkward tension where obviously they're threatened by each other's presence, but...
Daenerys is being antagonistic there.
Yeah, but we know these characters so well, and we've followed them along their whole journey. And even, like, with last season, too, it's, like, the same thing. It's, like, they should know to... focus on the real threat.
Yeah, John, that's what he says.
And Daenerys has seen the threat.
That's the other thing, too, is that line makes no sense because she's more warm and open to Jon in Beyond the Wall after what she's seen, where it's no more about bend the knee. He did that as a courtesy because he loved her. I really hope they move past it. And Jon says, great line, I sacrifice my crown for the North. And that kind of gets the Northern Lords on his side again.
Except for the Glovers.
Oh, those damn Glovers.
What a fucking...
House Glover? How many times have I quoted that speech on this on this channel?
It means nothing now. It means nothing.
There's nothing to forgive, my lord.
He sucks.
I hope they hang him.
Yeah.
I hope that's the final scene of season 8.
It's like when they were talking about what to do with the Umbers and the Karstarks, and Sansa's like, oh, we shouldn't reward people who turn their back on us. And Jon's like, oh, no, we have to. With the Glovers, you have to.
No, it's time to, time to end the Glovers. This reunion, too, between Tyrion and Sansa, they were husband and wife at one point, and... they're reminiscing on the Purple Wedding. Tyrion makes a joke about how unsettling that whole ceremony was, and Sansa responds, well, there was a couple good parts.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sansa is a character that last time that Tyrion saw her, obviously they had those moments where they were kind of building a relationship, and he was always very good to her. But this is a new character entirely. And I think Arya says in this episode that Sansa's the smartest person that she's ever met. And Tyrion can see that right away. That I'm not dealing with the little girl from season 3 and season 4. This is a woman in charge.
Yeah.
The moment that they have talking about Cersei, I think Tyrion's up to something, man.
Yeah, I mean,
and Sansa seems to be onto it.
Well, it's like Sansa's like kind of like the audience perspective. Like we already know that Cersei is not going along with her plan, and she's just like, are you stupid?
Right.
You believe Cersei? We know her. I know her. You know her. And like you said, it's a moment where Sansa's displaying all she's learned since season 4 to Tyrion.
Yeah, Tyrion makes a point that Cersei now has something to live for, speaking about her child. But this makes me believe that Tyrion knew Cersei wasn't going to come north. He's in on the betrayal.
Okay.
From Cersei as well. And we've obviously talked about it on this channel. Is he going to betray Jon and Daenerys in some way? What is his master plan? They hint at it too with the scene between Tyrion, Davos, and Varys. It was a reunion that I didn't really expect, because when it happened I thought, oh yeah, they have some history here too. So it makes sense that they would have a conversation. And she has that line, I once thought you were the cleverest man in the world. And even Bran looks at him at the end of the scene like, yeah, I know what you did. I see everything now. So there's definitely going to be a confrontation between those two characters. And the reunion that we've all been waiting for since season 1, episode 2, Jon and Arya. It was perfect.
I'm not afraid to say it. I cried 3 times during this episode.
This was
and
the
this is
first
the first
cry?
one, yeah. I'll let you know the other two. To see Arya embrace Jon like that, especially after the way the Sansa-Arya reunion was, because they had their differences, right? They weren't the closest of sisters. When they first reunited Sansa and Arya, it was very, I kind of wanted more out of that, but
I think it was perfect for their relationship, and I think this was as well, because
But
Arya,
after all they went through, like, to finally see them again, like, I felt like there should have been more, but I feel like we got that here with Jon and Arya.
Oh, yeah, because she goes right back to being that little girl from season 1. And they talk about it more in the books, but how powerful that scene is in that first season, where I think they share 2 scenes together on screen. It's the very first time we see the Starks, and they discuss it more in the books, that they were both outsiders growing up. Jon was a bastard, Arya was a tomboy. And to see how far they've come, it was great when he sees Needle, and he says, have you used it? Yeah, once or twice.
A couple times.
Yeah, I've
no big deal.
Stuck him with the pointy end. I took your advice, big girl.
Yeah.
And when Jon pulls out Longclaw, and he says, jealous?
Yeah.
Perfect moment between them. The hug that she jumps into his arms, just like how they left.
Twice.
Yeah, it was a great moment. And for the first time in the episode, we go down to King's Landing. We go south, and it's the first time that we see Cersei, and she has one word in her introduction. Qyburn comes and says, the wall has been breached. The army of the dead is on the march. Good.
Awesome. Awesome.
And the face, too.
I love it.
Yeah, the face was so good. We were wondering from the trailer, because Qyburn looks concerned.
He's kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see you.
Right.
Yeah.
Same old Cersei.
That scene embodied her character to a T. Yeah, the one thing for Cersei I like this episode, it's that, and everyone knows I'm a big Cersei fan. Only thing I like about Cersei in this episode.
Well, I'll tell you what, this next scene might be my least favorite scene of the episode, with Euron and Yara. And it's the first time we see the Golden Company. We see Euron and Harry Strickland looking over King's Landing and then looking over their soldiers. This scene with Euron and Yara, a throwaway scene to let us know that Yara is still there. I don't know what they're talking about. It says, I'm on a boat with mutes, so I need a traveling companion.
Yeah, they butchered Euron so bad. I don't think the
actor...
He's
a very distilled version of the character that we see in the books.
The actor's fine, but just the way they've written him this whole series, not a fan.
He's kind of a caricature of the character he is in the books.
Yeah.
Honestly, like you said, the actor is good, but some of those characters, if they're not written well in the show, they can come off as caricatures, and that's what's happened with Euron Greyjoy. But he's a significantly different character.
Yeah.
From the books. This was a throwaway scene. Yara's still there, and Euron is traveling to King's Landing. I did like this, though, when Cersei meets with Harry Strickland for the first time, when she's talking about the Golden Company, in this meta moment. Where are the elephants? We couldn't bring them. That's disappointing. Looking right into the camera, saying, listen.
All right, audience at home, would you rather see ghosts or the elephants? It's like basically comes down to like budget.
Yeah, we don't have Disney didn't buy us yet.
We haven't seen Ghost yet either, so we might just,
right?
They might have just wasted all on that
I'll tell
scene.
you what, if we don't get Ghost and the elephants, we better get ice spiders as big as hounds.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a funny interaction. And we've talked about it too, the Golden Company. He looked like he was playing a little coy with Cersei. 20,000 men, it's a significant portion of her army. And obviously the Golden Company has the reputation as the best fighters in Essos. We'll wait and see where their allegiances truly lie. But you didn't like this, Cersei and Euron.
I guess they kind of allude to it a little bit after the next scene where Cersei is lonely and she needs somebody. The way it came off from the first scene was Euron just saying, hey, I need something in return, and Cersei giving into him. When I'm like, Cersei, you're a queen. You don't have to give in to him. You're at the place now where you don't have to do this anymore. And it kind of felt like reverting to her old self where she was sold away to Robert Baratheon and having to do these things that she didn't want to do to necessitate a goal, where now you're sitting on the Iron Throne. You don't have to do this.
I guess it works better in hindsight.
Yeah, but then the next scene, she kind of seems like, oh, she was kind of like lonely and she kind of wanted it too. But that first scene when he kind of just says it and she stops and he's like, he's being Euron, right?
It's a very disrespectful thing to say in the throne room.
Yeah, it's like you're Cersei Lannister,
insinuating that he wants to bang her.
You're queen of the Seven Kingdoms. You don't have to do this, but. The next scene kind of is like, but even he's still disrespectful too when he makes that comment about impregnating her, even though she already is pregnant. Yeah. I don't know. I wasn't a fan of the scene.
No, and I think in hindsight the scene works better because, like you said, Cersei was known for cheating on Jaime all the time with Lancel and different men, Moonboy.
Yeah,
as Tyrion likes to say. So I just think it was a moment of Cersei is still using Euron.
She's lonely. Definitely in hindsight it works better because you can say like, oh, she's playing him for that, but the way it came off that first scene, it was just a little unsettling because like, you're the queen, you don't have to give into what he wants,
and she has a
you should be able to assert your will and control him and say, no, you follow me no matter what.
And then you come here.
Yeah. And yeah, if she did that,
Yeah.
but it was like kind of like yeah, you're kind of cute. Come back to the throne room.
A little head nod.
Yeah.
Well, she has that moment too when he leaves and she's crying.
Yeah.
So you have to wonder if she's thinking about Jaime Lannister in that moment. I said in my Jaime video that Jaime betrayed her. She didn't kill him, which means that she does love him.
Yeah.
And we were all wondering what Bronn was going to be doing in season 8, and back in his element. If he's not fighting, he's fucking.
Well, this too, honestly, it's like, I guess from the audience perspective, maybe she doesn't know, but she can't expect Bronn to betray Tyrion and Jaime.
If the price is right.
You know he's going to get there and be like, hey, this is what I got, this is what I did, I'm with you guys. You know he's not going to betray them. As an audience member, I guess we know more about their relationship than Cersei, but come on. That just seems like it's a setup for something where Bronn's going to be like, I got this gold, I got these men, whatever I have, I'm up north now. Cersei's paid me to kill you guys. I'm not going to kill you guys. I'll fight with you.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's a little predictable. But I do like the moment where he's trying to impress these girls and they just keep talking about everybody else. He's like, I shot the dragon, right? I was the one on the ballista. Did you see the episode? It leaked early, okay? And then Qyburn comes in.
That episode... Let Nerd Soup drop their review for that right away.
Wait, no. We were just very efficient that
night.
No. I had some Adderall on deck. Qyburn comes in, great line too. He's like, poor girl, gonna die of the pox in about a year. Bronn's like, which girl? Which girl was that, Qyburn? Q, buddy? Poetic justice with the crossbow. It's not going to happen. No way.
No, that leads me to believe like maybe Cersei knows something. Like she knows that's not gonna work. It's kind of like a ploy in some way. That just came off a little like, all right, we know Bronn will never betray. Maybe he will, but I feel like the character we've known and the way we've seen him, he won't betray Jaime or Tyrion.
Okay, so in this moment, is this Theon or Reek for you?
I don't know. He's got nicer hair.
Theek? He does. Yeah, his locks were flowing.
Yeah, he had some fucking sick lettuce.
Yeah, and the armor. I like the armor.
Yeah,
it was a cool scene.
There's so much. Like, how did they get there? How did they get on the ship? Like,
you know what? I don't care because what this scene told me is that Yara's going away. She's going to the Iron Islands. And Theon's going to fight north. It's settled. Get this out of the way in the first episode. I don't care about the Greyjoys. I never really have. I've enjoyed Theon's arc, and I think Alfie Allen is a terrific actor. I've said it before, the way that he's able to portray somebody who's completely lost his mind. But I'm glad that this is out of the way. They saved her. I don't need to know the logistics. Let's go back north.
Let's do that hockey.
But we are back north, and we have this scene between Tyrion, Davos, and Varys. And this is an interesting scene, is where Davos proposes that Jon and Daenerys should be married. And this is a storybook ending. You have the honorable man and honorable woman. They would be the two best rulers for the Seven Kingdoms, no matter what anybody says. I mean, you have two of the most just individuals with kind hearts who are able to see the big picture. It makes perfect sense. So in Game of Thrones, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's all this means. And Varys, he's cooking up something too, man.
Well, we talked about it on the death predictions. Like, Varys' motivations don't entirely make sense when you look back on him.
No.
Just the way they looked at him, too. It's just like, oh, look at him. Jon and Daenerys, living the dream.
And their whole lives ahead of them.
Yeah. It's a nice idea in theory, but we know the show, and we know it's not going to end up that way.
It's a bit of foreshadowing, too, from Varys, where he says that respecting your elders keeps us at a distance so that we can't tell them the truth, that nothing lasts. We have this moment, too, where the Dothraki come and tell Daenerys that the dragons are not eating. So Jon and Daenerys go to visit Drogon and Rhaegal. They're like big dogs, these dragons. They're kind of adorable.
This should have been a scene that made me cry, but it didn't. It
was cool. It wasn't a tear moment.
I even tweeted about it. I'm like, once Jon hops on Rhaegal, that's weeping. Automatic weep. They didn't weep.
No, because it wasn't a moment where Rhaegal comes and saves him.
Yeah.
It wasn't an escape moment. The music didn't... It wasn't like when Daenerys first rides Drogon.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great moment. It's not a tear moment. You would think that this would evoke more emotion because it's the dragon named after his father. And we all know that Jon is a Targaryen. We all suspected he would one day be a dragon rider. Why aren't there harnesses on these dragons?
That's bothers me to no end.
The hats?
More than hats and helmets when in battle and beyond a wall. Why are there no harness? Yeah.
Unless you're Tom Cruise in Mission
He even
Impossible.
said it. It's kind of a little meta moment too. He's like, what do I do?
She's like, I don't know.
Just hold on to one of these
anything.
spikes.
Yeah. No way.
It's
still cool though.
It's a beautiful scene. It's well shot. It's we even mentioned this too in the trailer, like how that's the moment where Jon might be riding Rhaegal.
Either way, I mean, it's so unrealistic, but I just can't forgive the hats. I'll never get over the lack of hats.
I hate the helmets. Like, why aren't you wearing a helmet? Like, Battle of the Bastards, Jon, wear a helmet.
Yeah, right. And they get off the dragon. They're in the middle of the frozen tundra. and they don't have stuffy noses. Of all the unrealistic things in the show, these are the things I cannot forgive.
Yes.
But it's a nice callback, too, to Ygritte. Ygritte and Jon in the cave, where Daenerys
Yes.
says we can stay here for 1,000 years.
Yes, I thought that too.
Jon says we'll grow old. Daenerys has a moment where she laughs. Daenerys is enjoying her time with another person.
Good for her.
Right, yeah, she's always very stoic, and she has to be at times. But here she can open up. She can just be Daenerys rather than Daenerys Stormborn.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was a great comedic moment, too, when they embrace each other and they start kissing and the dragons start grilling Jon.
Yeah, Jon's like, what?
It's like a protective dog.
Yeah.
And the one moment, too, where he goes back in for the kiss, opens his eyes. Drogon is, you better treat her right, Jon Snow. It's very funny. And another reunion here, where we have the Hound and Gendry. Gendry makes the Hound an axe made out of dragon glass. So that's what he's going to be doing throughout the season, just gearing up everybody. He's like the Tony Stark of Westeros right now, making everybody look good. This reunion between the Hound and Arya, another perfect reunion. The dialogue, the back and forth between them, that's what these characters would say.
Yeah, I kind of like, after that happened, like I kind of wanted a little more, but thinking back on it, I'm like, yeah.
He picks her up, twirls her in the air.
Yeah. I kind of wanted like, oh, Arya, Hound. But like, yeah, this is what they would do to each other.
I knew you were going to survive.
I didn't mean it.
Gives him the bag of gold. I never spent a dime.
I buried those people we murdered, kind of.
You're a cold little bitch. Perfect.
Yeah, and that smile when she sees Gendry, it's nice. It's
another moment too where Arya can be a girl. She
Yeah.
can be a girl attracted to another dude. She's kind of flirting with him, playing a little back and forth.
It's old Arya. It's the same thing
Yeah.
with Jon. It's the same thing when she first met Gendry. She still has that. She's not the faceless, ruthless assassin that she kind of wanted to be or has become. She still has that in her. And that was nice to see. Because I feel like in Season 7, we really didn't get that.
That's why these reunions are so important, because they have this history where Arya can go back to being the little kid that she was in Season 2 when they were on the run together, building that friendship. And he has a moment, too, where he says, I always knew you were a spoiled rich girl. And he calls her Milady. Calls her Lady Stark. That's what Arya hates the most. And it's nice. It's a cute back and forth flirting between these characters. And obviously a lot of the fandom wants to see them get together. I don't think that's going to happen, but it was nice to see this. And the weapon that she wants,
What
she
is
wants
that?
to be made.
I
It
didn't
looks like a
really-
spear that detaches. I don't know.
It's like, Arya, it's like medieval times, right? We can't make this shit.
AK-47.
Yeah.
I want dragonglass bullets coming out of this thing. I'm going to lick these fools up, son. Yeah, we'll see. Because we have a moment in the trailer, too, where she kind of grabs at it. I don't know if it's also a bow and arrow. It doesn't look like it has a string, but Arya's going to work in episode 3, and I can't. I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in this next scene, we have Sansa reading the letter from Lord Glover. Lord Glover says he's staying home. And once again, obviously he gives that great speech in The Winds of Winter, Season 6, Episode 10. But he did pledge to fight for the King in the North. And we mentioned it, that these people don't know the real threat. So he does feel betrayed, I guess, by Jon. And Sansa is almost siding with Lord Glover in this scene, that she's upset with Jon for making this decision.
Again, you saw the dragons. You know the threat. You trust Jon.
She says it in the scene, too. Jon says, do you have any faith in me? She's like, of course I do. Then let's move past this.
And yeah, we talked about it before, like this back and forth. I guess it makes sense, but from the audience perspective, same thing with Arya and Sansa last season. It's like, we know what you should be doing, so why don't you? Maybe it's not a fair judgment, because this could be a natural progression of thoughts and sentiments towards what's going on, especially with Lord Glover leaving. Like, that's the sentiment of maybe most of the Northern Lords, but it's just kind of frustrating, I guess.
Yes.
It's like, we know what the threat is, so kind of just band together and face the threat.
We didn't talk about that much, too, in Season 7, that some of the conflict between Jon and Sansa wasn't warranted, even going back to Season 6. If you're going to do it in this episode and then drop it moving forward.
Yeah, because I think they're trying to work more at the politics of Westeros, like where in Season 2, let's just say it was more natural.
Yes.
Here, it's more contrived where, again, it's like the audience knows what's happening, so maybe it's not fair to be like, oh, you should know, too, because Sansa hasn't really seen a threat. I don't know. It's not my favorite part.
Well, this is your favorite scene of the episode, right? Daenerys meeting with Sam.
Dude.
And initially she goes to thank Sam for saving Jorah Mormont's life, but we all knew this was going to happen, that Sam was going to find out about Randall and Dickon. John Bradley, performance of the series so far for him.
I don't know why I lost it, but I lost it.
Well,
I lost it.
The way that he's trying to hold himself together in this moment, the emotion is just swelling up in his face.
But it was like when she was talking about Randall, and he kind of made the like, oh, I can go back to Horn Hill. I got my brother there.
But even then, there's a slight sadness for his
Yeah.
father, even though his father was a terrible
But
person.
I know
he
Randall.
gets over it.
I know Randall sucks.
You're right.
Sam knows Randall sucks. So I'm not going to mourn Randall Tarley. But Dickon is very innocent in this. And rewatching that in season 7, and Tyrion's very upset with her when she does that. She even like, you could have killed Randall, but you could have kept Dickon alive, or maybe put him in a jail cell. So going back to that, and then the way that hit Sam, it hit me too.
Yes.
I was very emotional during that scene.
And it's an interesting...
And Dickon's only been around for what? Like, there's 2 actors who played it. He was in 1 episode in season 6, and then he's in season 7 for 2 episodes. But it's just Sam's connection. And that's like kind of like a Jaime and Tyrion thing, where from Tyrion's perspective, Jaime's the only one to accept him. And I never got the impression that Dickon had Randall's sentiments towards Sam. He never hated Sam because he was who he was.
Yeah, and even in those 2 episodes in season 7, Dickon became almost a fan favorite because he was somebody that was not renowned, but he was expected to become a great warrior, and he was Randall Tarley's successor.
Well, he's a typical
right.
what Randall wanted in a son.
But he didn't enjoy it.
No.
He didn't enjoy the war during Spoils of War when they took...
Yeah, he said he fought with those men. He
Highgarden.
went hunting with those men. Like, he knew those men he killed, and he was very shaken up about it. It's a very human reaction.
Right, and that's probably Sam and Dickon, like you said, they probably had a good relationship growing up. You would think that Dickon is somebody that would look up to his brother, regardless of if he can hunt or fight. It was an emotional moment, and Sam storms off. He needs to be alone, but he runs into Bran. Bran has the funniest line of the episode. I'm waiting for an old friend. And that old friend is Jaime Lannister at the end of the episode. That was so good. It feels like Bran just kept sneaking up on everybody in this.
I don't think he
How did
stuck
he
up
get
anyone.
there?
He just stayed in the same spot.
Right? Yeah, he did stay in that spot.
He put the emergency brakes on the chair.
Right.
he kept that shit collapsed, and he
was glued to the floor.
Yeah. So
and he's like, "Yo, you gonna tell John? You tell him, right? Yeah, you got it."
He's not gonna believe me. Oh, no, Sam, he trusts you. You could do that. Yeah, but you're the 3-eyed raven. You've seen shit. Just be like, "Oh, I remember you when you banged the egret in that cave." That's what Bran should have said.
He's like, well, no, that didn't really work with Sansa. I think I'm
yeah.
gonna keep those things to myself.
I think he's like kind of self-conscious, like, oh, everyone thinks I'm a weirdo. Maybe I should dial it back a little bit.
He's like Steve Buscemi, like, hello, fellow normal people.
Yeah.
It makes sense, though, that Sam would tell him, and he has that great line, too. It reminded me of Robert Baratheon telling Ned, I never loved my brothers, you were the brother I chose. And Jon and Sam, they are brothers. They go back so many years, and the relationship that they built between each other, the trust that Jon doesn't trust anybody more than Sam. This moment, too, was incredible. And I knew that they were going to do this in the first episode. They were going to get this out of the way, and we get to see Jon Snow's reaction to learning that he is Aegon Targaryen, six of his name, protector of the realm, and the king of the Andals and the first men.
Not the Rhoynar in the show.
Not the Rhoynar in the show. Where's Renly's peach? I don't know. What did you think? Was it convincing that Jon believed him right away?
Well, I cried, so it's pretty
Right.
convincing.
Yes.
3rd time, by the way.
Well, the story makes sense, too. Because at first he's upset with his father, that he lied to him his entire life. But once he starts to understand, it's probably the most honorable thing that Ned has ever done.
Yeah.
To risk his life to save Lyanna's baby. And I think it's more important for Jon to learn who his mother was. Because that was always in the back of his mind. Who was my mother?
I think the Lyanna thing hit him most. Like, I think he could care less about Rhaegar. Obviously, it has a much bigger implication as far as his standing in Westeros. But I think the Lyanna thing, like Ned's sister, what he did to protect him, that's the Stark heritage. He's still a Stark, and the way he views his father and the stories he's probably heard about Lyanna and the war, and Robert's rebellion, I think that really hit home for him. And I make my jokes about like, oh, Jon sucks, Robb is better. The times I have cried during the series was when that scene when Bran went back and showed Jon being born and the King of the North thing, and now Sam telling Jon his true heritage. I don't know, it hits home, man. It's like something we've theorized for so long coming into fruition, and Jon finally knowing. It's just something special for me.
And when Daenerys finds out, too, I mean, it's going to make things very awkward between them. And the fact that they're positioning Samwell Tarly as somebody who doesn't trust Daenerys for obvious reasons.
Well,
he's pushing Jon towards treason.
Well, he
almost.
says, like, you sacrifice... What does he say? Hold on.
He said that you sacrifice your crown to save people.
When he says you sacrifice your crown for the North, will she do the same?
Yes, right.
Will
she make the decision to acknowledge you as the true heir
And I don't think that's in Daenerys' character. Like, I love Daenerys, and I think a lot of people hate her, but I think from what she's been through in her character arc, it kind of makes sense, some of the decisions she's made. Like, when you look at it from an outside perspective, like what Jon's willing to do to sacrifice for the good of the realm, I don't think Daenerys is going to be so easy to sacrifice her standing in Westeros for the good of the people. That's hard for her, because that's been her whole thing. She is the rightful queen of the Seven Kingdoms, and I don't think she'll be that easy to let that go.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not saying that's like something wrong with her character. Like, that's who she is, and that's why I love her, and a lot of people do.
Well, she goes back to this philosophy too about breaking the wheel. I'll break the wheel, but I'm going to be the one who breaks it.
Yeah.
So you would think that in her position, if she finds out about Jon, that also doesn't matter. I mean, when they say that Jon is the heir to the Iron Throne, it says you. These laws,
but it goes back to like what we're saying, like nothing matters when the threat's there. But for Daenerys and her character and what we've seen throughout the years, that's something I don't think she'll be like, oh, I'll put that, like, okay, fine, let's go fight the Night King. I feel like that's something that like she's had in her mind for so long, and I don't think she'll give that away that easily.
Sansa, man, just sending Ned Umber to his death. I'm not burying the lead here at all, but I guess we'll go to where this scene begins with Tormund and Beric and the remaining members of the soldiers that were guarding Eastwatch, that they travel to the Last Hearth, and they find it ravaged and abandoned, and we find out that the Night King has been there. They run into Ed, which was a funny scene as well. I thought there were a lot of good classic Game of Thrones comedic lines. His eyes are blue. They've always been blue.
You nailed that. You nailed that.
The voices, right?
Yeah.
I was practicing in the mirror. Yeah. Let me take off my blue contacts.
You're a character actor.
I thought we were going to see a White Walker at first, but then I thought that this was going to be a secret revealed about the White Walkers. Once again, though, we see this symbol with the dismembered limbs. I mean, very disturbing. It reminded me almost of the scene in Annihilation when they find the man plastered on the wall. Mm-hmm. His body is all distorted.
I kind of like that. It kind of gives us a deeper, like, we've seen this before. I mean, Mance Rayder said always the artist or whatever.
Right.
When they first see that, it's like
they're communicating.
They're fucking with us.
Yeah.
Like they're fucking with them. Like,
and they kept him alive.
Yeah, they could have kept something where like, oh, we could have set a trap. We could have had like, we know you're gonna see them. We could have done all these things. We could have.
Well, it goes back to the very first scene of the show, man.
Yeah.
When he leaves.
But they're like, we want you to see this and to be terrified.
Right. When he throws him the head.
Yeah.
Says, tell your boys what happened here. This is another tell you boys what happened here.
Yeah.
Remember the woman that I took out her dragon? I'm coming for the other two.
Yeah.
And, poor Ned Umber.
It's a name.
It is the name.
Ned Stark, yeah. Little Ned Stark,
Little Ned, yeah.
Ned Umber.
Jesus.
Don't be named Ed.
They just
Ned.
need to call the Night King
it's
Ned.
Sean Bean. It's
that name is fucking cursed.
Yeah.
This was disturbing though when that kid started yelling. I jumped. It's like, whoa, what the hell? And the way that they set him on fire.
Was he a white? Yeah, he was a white.
Yeah, he was a white, yeah. So he was still alive in that moment, and the Night King probably
They waited. Yeah, it's like a whole thing.
Brought him back at that moment.
It's
You think he was behind the wall, like,
yeah,
giggling? Like, watch this.
What do you think his like boy's name is? I feel like he'd be like, yo, Jeff.
Travis.
If it was just like, yo, Jeff.
Trav.
Yeah.
T-Dog.
T-Dog.
That was, and the way that it lights up too, man, that was one of the most disturbing scenes. And it's so funny, in our death prediction video, Teddy just said that the show's not going to burn another kid alive.
Yeah, and they burn another kid alive.
First episode, we're burning a kid alive.
That's the first, is it the first death?
First death, yeah.
Yeah.
First death. No, well, the guards for Yara, but those are red shirts.
Yeah, fuck the guards.
That scene didn't happen anyway.
It's
not canon.
Yeah. Shame on us for not having Ned Umber on our death predictions.
No, we didn't. Well, I'm saying Alice Karstark is next.
Oh, that's not nice.
Well, I mean, Ned Umber and Alice
She seems like a good person.
Yeah, she does. And right away, I knew this was Jaime Lannister riding north all by himself. That trip is taking a toll on him.
Gray in the beard.
Gray in the beard.
He was shaking when he saw Bran. He was like, oh.
Bran's got a little swagger this season.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brad's like, you pushed me out the window. Who cares? Let bygones be bygones. I'm the three-eyed raven now, so.
But the thing, yeah,
joke's on you.
He's waiting for him though.
Yeah.
Which is it to say, hey asshole, thanks for pushing me out of the window?
No, I mean,
or is it to literally say, thank you for pushing me out of the window because you helped me reach my potential?
I don't think it's a thank you. It's more of like, it's like, this is my destiny, and you were a part of that, and I know the threat. Like he said to Sansa, Jamie, like he said to Sansa, Daenerys, and Jon, it's like, we don't have time for this. So he knows Jamie could help in some way. So it's like, hey, toss me out a window. Who cares? Who cares?
You want to go back to that tower?
Yeah. You look beautiful that night.
I saw the night you lost your hand. You look disgusting.
Yeah,
Honestly.
no,
Take
gross.
a fucking bath. He sits him down and says, listen, I didn't like you when you pushed me out of the window, but your arc throughout the show has been amazing.
Yeah.
You're my favorite character now.
Yeah, he's seen the show.
Right.
Bran's like, yo, I hated you, but now I love you.
Yeah.
I just feel like Bran would be a Cersei guy, too.
Of course you think that, but
Yeah,
he wouldn't be.
I think he'd be a Cersei
I don't
guy.
think so.
Yeah.
I don't think you think shame brought him on Cersei's side.
I remember that day.
That was a body double, right? And it's funny, too, because we thought maybe Jaime was coming with some men.
No, yeah, he's all alone.
There was
surprised.
the idea that he was going to bring Edmure, didn't bring Edmure. He's literally all alone.
When I saw Bronn, I thought he'd at least have a couple men. I thought when I first saw Bronn, I'm like, oh, he's not with Jaime.
Yeah.
That was a little surprising. So, yeah. And he's all alone, too. So it's kind of like he has nothing really to bring as far as the Lannister forces. So that can cause a divide, too. Like we mentioned Bran and the history he's had with the Starks, and let alone Daenerys, right? They're talking about how Viserys probably filled their heads with the stories of Jaime Lannister killing their father. And she knows her father, so I don't want that to be another rift between them. Like, your father was a fucking scumbag.
That's why it didn't sound natural either in the preview.
Yeah. So.
That she seemed like she did. Well, it looks like he gets thrown into prison as well, that they lock him up.
Going to jail.
Well, like you said, he has nothing to offer.
Yeah, so that could be like, if he had an army at his back, like we've seen Daenerys accept the Martells. We've seen Daenerys accept Ellaria and the Sand Snakes and the Dornish army, even though she admitted that they killed Marcella. So Jaime brought the Lannister forces. She would be more likely to be like, all right, you can join our side. But since he's alone, it's like, you're a single man. We know what you've done. You're the Kingslayer. What's up?
Why are you here?
But that could be like another thing. Like, he obviously traveled all this way by himself. So he obviously believes in the cause.
That's the thing. It's just you give him a sword.
Yeah.
I have a Valyrian steel sword. Good. Get in line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the first episode of Season 8, and I think it was a traditional opening episode where it sets the table. We're going to jump right into it in Episode 2. Because obviously there's only 6 episodes. We don't have time for the politics, for the bickering, for the power plays. It's going to be the living versus the dead moving forward. And more focus on Jon and Daenerys' relationship and how that revelation is going to affect both of them. But I think I would give this episode a solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't... I cried 3 times, right? So that's obviously...
It says something about you.
But
I think there's something...
But it's like I have an emotional investment, and I feel like that's a lot of the scenes like played on that. Like, we know you've been here for so long, and especially for me, like engrossing myself with the books and all the theories and just learning everything I can about the Song of Ice and Fire. There was a lot of moments that played off of that, but as a episode as a whole, like you said, it's very good setup, and there's some good moments, some things I didn't like, but I think it set the table perfectly. Let's move on. Season 2. Let's get going. Episode 2. We're ready to go. And I think it's just going to be maybe not necessarily episode 2, but I feel like episode 3 on is going to be absolute. We're ready to go. And I think episode
high
2,
octane.
Episode 2 will get the engine started. We're ready to go.
So guys, thank you for watching this review of Season 8, Episode 1. We hope you'll come back and join us throughout Season 8. And before we end this video, we want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Cafe Press. Throughout Season 8, Cafe Press is featuring a number of different Game of Thrones themed products on their website, and they were kind enough to send us some of these products to share with you guys. My personal favorite is the I Drink and I Know Things cup, followed by the Mother of Dragons mug. Great for enjoying a cold beer during your Game of Thrones Sunday nights, and some Monday morning coffee. Morning as in mourning the deaths of your favorite characters. We also got our hands on a Game of Thrones themed blanket that features an entire map of the continent of Westeros. It's really cool. So you can fall asleep wrapped in the world that has caused you immense pain and joy over these past 8 years. And we'd also like to highlight a couple of their other products, like this Night's Watch hoodie. Thank you to my friend Stu for modeling this for us. And you can check out their Winter is Coming t-shirt, the most iconic line in Game of Thrones. Winter is coming. Winter is here. And some King in the North pajamas. I've been rocking these for the past week. Eat, breathe, and sleep Game of Thrones. That's all I do. And of course, you can visit cafepress.com and see all of the Game of Thrones themed products that they are offering throughout Season 8. And you can use promo code CAFEGOT to receive 25% off of all of their Game of Thrones themed gear. And thank you again to Cafe Press for sending over these products. So yeah, go visit their website, check out some of their stuff. That's what I'm going to be doing, because I'm just a sucker for Game of Thrones themed merchandise. Yeah, and season 8 is here. It's well underway. 5 more weeks to go.